No curveball has ever thrown itself. I know that falls in the duh category. I mean, the baseball laying at the pitcher's mound, it never jumps in the air and flies through the air and curves itself. It never acts all on its own in deception. That seems so duh to say. And yet, the level of truth that rests behind that observation is more than many people are ready to accept. Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. See, one of the challenges we have in our world today is we have leaders who have a secret agenda, a hidden agenda, a deceptive agenda. And they don't want you to know that's what it is. But we watch baseball and we watch somebody throw a good curveball, and a good curveball looks like it's going to go way out of bounds on the other side, or it's going to hit you. That's why they throw the curveball. But eventually, the curveball becomes a strike and it crosses the plate in that place that should have been a perfect hit. But most people, they don't bother to swing at the curveball because it looks like it's unreachable, or it looks like it's going to hit you. In fact, a really good curveball, sometimes the batter will step out of the box to avoid being hit and then have a strike called against him. It happens in a play like a flea flicker or a fake punt or a run pass that's supposed to look like everybody's running. And then they throw the ball and nobody's looking downfield because they thought it was a run and all of the defenders have come forward. And see, here's what you need to remember as truth. The curveball didn't jump out of the pitcher's hands and move itself through the air that way. It didn't change its mind after the pitcher released it and decide, I'm not going straight to the mound, I'm going to go over here first. That didn't happen. The curveball was the intention of the pitcher before it left their hands. The fake punt, the onside kick, the flea flicker play, the reverse, all of those things, all the trickery in any sport, all of it is intentional. Now again, you might think, duh. I mean, we know that trick plays don't happen by accident. Nobody accidentally creates a trick play. I mean, they're well thought out before they're called. They've been practiced. They've been rehearsed. They've been pre-planned. In fact, chances are, whoever put the X's and O's on the board, so to speak, whoever wrote out the plan of this deception had an idea, not just how they would execute the deception. Listen closely, but they knew how the opponent would react to the deception. The pitcher, who's willing to throw that curveball that looks like it's going to hit the batter, has seen it enough times to know that the chances are high the batter's going to step out of the box. And even if they don't step completely out of the box, they're at least going to step back far enough that their swing is not going to have the same effect. If they do connect with the ball, it's going to go foul. The run play that's designed to look like a run and it's actually a pass, or vice versa, is specifically designed based on the reaction of the defense. They knew when they called the play what they thought you were going to do. Now let's take that same reality and overlay it with stuff like, I don't know, the stock market, home values, interest rates, politics, election cycles, the media. Are you catching on yet? Yeah, 2020 looks like one enormous onslaught of curveballs. Curveballs don't throw themselves. Flea flicker plays don't happen by accident. Fake punts, they never show up in the game lest we be on fourth down and need another strategy. Nothing you're seeing today is incidental. Let that sink in for a minute. None of the calamities are incidental. Here's something else you gotta know. If the fake punt happens and the punter gets hit anyway and the punter gets hurt anyway, that's collateral damage. If the punter goes to throw the ball, but somebody coming in to block the punt doesn't realize he's throwing and hits him like he's punting or avoids him like he's punting, that injury could be collateral damage. In our culture today, especially in America, but literally around the world, if you haven't been paying any attention, the kinds of things that are happening in America, the race riots are happening all over the world. How many people in London knew George Floyd? Better question, how many knew these organizations like Antifa and BLM around the world? A curveball doesn't throw itself. Buses of people, trucks with food and helmets and shields and gas masks and gallons and gallons and gallons of milk, those did not show up on their own accord any more than a curveball flying through the air. If you still believe that much of this was spontaneous, I've got a bridge to sell you. It's called the Golden Gate, and it's just outside of Phoenix. We need to understand, as leaders and influencers, that curveballs are being thrown. And they're not accidental, and they're not incidental. But we need to ask ourselves who threw the curveball and why. Who called the trick play and why? Or what's really coming behind that? That's the question we need to be asking as leaders, because those that we lead, those whom we influence, many of them are blind to the curveball. They're reacting only to the curve of the pitch. Not asking, why did you throw that now? What's behind it? What's next? That's the question the leader should be asking, and the solutions the leader should be looking for. Oh, there's something coming. There's something coming we need to be prepared for. But if we're blind to the fact that the curveball didn't throw itself, then we're not going to be prepared for the solution that's necessary. Because it might be high stakes game. This might be 3rd and 25 with 2 minutes left in the game. This might be a last-ditch effort for a desperate opponent who will pull out all the stops, throw every curveball, come up with every trick play in the world, and then accuse you of cheating because the stakes are that high. If you lead people, ask yourself the question, who threw the curveball? What was behind it? And what's coming next? I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.